Buy now or buy later in the private property market?
Let's find out. It's so high, everything's so high. How? Like, that's one of the most common questions we get.
Hi, I'm Ivan.
And I'm Sean.
And together we're the co-founders of
Quadrant.
So today we're going to be talking about this topic, right? Which is like everyone is asking me, should I be buying now? Should I be selling now? Or what should I do?
Or should we just wait, right? Because you know what? Everything what goes up must come down. Alright, that's what most people think. Okay, so let's explore. Alright, let's really break it down and let's explore. Do we think market will come down? That's number one. And number two is that then should we take action now?
Yes,
yeah?
That's right.
Okay, now there's a few things we want to take a look at. You know what? You living in Singapore, right? I always call it like cheat code like that. Why? Because we can actually predict the future.
Wow.
Very easy. You don't need to be very smart to predict the future. All you need to do is look at what are the latest government land sale and how much was it transacted at. Because the reality is this, no businessman will go and buy something and then to sell it at a loss. They will have to make a profit. And therefore, all property developers are businesses, okay? And of course, government also want to make money on the land because that's one of their major, of course, revenue, I would say, that comes into the country.
No. I think the government released the land, right, so that we have enough supply or enough housing for the whole of Singapore.
Definitely, right? But you know what? Let's be realistic here. Okay, of course, governments only make money, right? So they will also want to sell it at undervalue. I think it's only right. I think it's only right. So now the key thing is this: understanding that there are various government land sale that is up for sale, transacted. And not to mention, it's not just one developer who bid. Usually we see like 6 to 10 developers that bid for the particular land. And most of the time the top offer is not too far off from the second and third offer, which means that there is not one developer that is bullish. We are seeing multiple developers that are bullish on the property, on the land itself, right? We know that the prices are likely to stay high or go even higher in the next 1 to 2 years time, because any government land sale that is launched and concluded today will only be launched for new launch sale only about 1 year plus later, because they still need to plan the whole marketing side of it, and then of course finally then they can launch it to the market lah.
I think there's another pressure, right? Not only just in terms of like the land cost itself. The second pressure, right, is actually cost pressure. So when we are talking about cost, right, it comes in the form like rising labor costs, rising raw material costs, and most recently, rising energy costs.
Everything's increasing, right? So now the key thing is this, right? I think, of course, that being said, if we know that property price is going to still increase the next 1 to 2 years due to government land sale, okay, which means that technically, think about it, is there still opportunity to make money? I would say definitely yes, okay? So now, the main argument over here would be that...
Wait. I want to add one very interesting point, right? Before you talk about the next point, right? Which is that, you see, when we are talking about predicting the future, right? What we actually need to do is just to predict 3 years down the road.
Yeah.
And the whole reason is because, right, in Singapore itself, we are being hit with this seller stamp duty if you sell within the first 3 years. However, if you at the 3-year mark, what you can do is that you can make a decision whether you want to continue to hold if the future is rosy, or you want to sell and like cash out. So the whole point is that if you are able to see what the path is ahead for just 3 years, it's good enough.
Yeah, that's a very good point over here. So now that we more or less roughly can conclude that property price is going to continue to go up due to government land sale, then the big question comes down to this, is that should we sell now or should we wait, or should we buy now? Okay, so since we know that in the next 2 years, 3 years is likely to increase, then I would say that it's a good time to consider buying now. Now, some of you guys or many of you guys would probably have a property on hand today. Okay, so now I understand one thing. If the property market today is considered high, which means that you're also going to sell your property at a high. Because you're going to sell a property at a high, most likely you're also going to entering at a high. Therefore, you are not really in a losing position if you were to buy a property at a high or so-called at a market value in today's context. Because in today's context, it's really very difficult to buy a property at undervalue due to the demand. Alright, there's very high demand in the market today. So of course, it's not as easy as 2 years ago where we can go in and like get 50k undervalue, 100k undervalue, right? It's very tough. Nowadays, sellers do want or do expect a fair value on the particular property they're going to sell. Now, So the key is this. Then how do we find opportunities into this market over here? Now, then let's talk about a pro tip. Okay? Let's say, for example, if you know that, let's say there is a government land sale that is up for sale, okay, and it's going to be bidded at a certain price, or it's already bidded at a certain price.
For example, the Ang Mo Kio area.
Yeah, the Ang Mo Kio Lentor area. Okay, why not potentially look at the surrounding around it and enter into the resale market before the owners realize that actually the true value of the property is, you know what, somewhere closer towards the government land sale price, all right, as compared to what it was initially. So for example, if we know that it's going to be like 2,000 PSF, and let's say the condo surrounding it, let's say that is only 3 to 5 years old, okay, is selling at 1,004 PSF. Then that actually gives you a nice gap of 600 PSF difference, because ultimately, guys, all new launch will become old one day. Right? I just want to repeat,
The property TOPs, right, is a resale property.
Correct. So it's only new launch now. After TOP 1 year later, no matter what, people is going to compare resale versus resale, and all new launches will become resale one day. So that is where the market will start to look at it, right? Hey, there's a 20%, there's a 30%, there's a 40% price difference between this 1 year old property or 2 year old property versus something that is 6 to 7 years old. And given a price difference of 30 to 40%, that then gives you an opportunity to make some money, especially if you buy into the 6 year old property that is 30 to 40% difference in price point.
So the pro tip over here is this: if you are going to be considering to buying a property here today, right, make sure you look at what is happening on the government land sales. For those land that have been bidded, right, what you can do is look at the resale market and compare it versus the land cost of the new launch property. So if the new property is going to be priced really way high, you can consider the resale, and vice versa. If the new launch has been like won and awarded at a low price, wait for the new launch property itself.
Yeah, and the beautiful part is this, right, is that, you know, usually freehold properties are priced at pretty much of a premium, right? And then if you look at, let's say, even the last 5 to 10 years trajectory of capital gains when it comes to freehold properties, especially those new launch one, right? We actually do not really see much of a price increase because why? When developer launch the freehold property, they typically ask for premium. So if they ask too high of a premium, then naturally it takes time for the so-called the premium to be realized in the market itself. Therefore, if some of you guys are perhaps holding to some new launch property, alright, they have gone up in value because after the TOP gone up in certain value, right? Perhaps you see that, actually if let's say nearby got freehold properties that are still generally new as well, but actually the price point not much difference, right? Then perhaps you can also consider, why don't I just sell my leasehold property, alright, at a market high today, obviously, and then buy into this freehold property at perhaps at the same price. Because remember, 5 years down the road, once again, your so-called new launch just TOP property will also become old one day. So therefore, then why not have as much advantage as possible? Why don't get the freehold, especially if the price is roughly the same?
In other words, upgrade from a leasehold to a freehold, guys.
Exactly, right? And of course, in this market, it's so beautiful because in such a hot market, there are certain projects that have more attention than others. Okay, and therefore the key now here is to look at where the attention is at, okay, and then look at beside or look at another asset class. All right, perhaps if everyone is focusing at, let's say, 3-beders today, all right, a lot of people want to upgrade to 3-bedder. Then you start realizing that actually the 4-bed and the 3-bed, the price point difference, the premium is so small. Then perhaps that might give you a potential to get a 4-bedder as well. So you can see, guys, in this very beautiful hot market, there are so many pockets of opportunity that you can go for. The key here, of course, then is to really spend some time, sit down, all right, perhaps subscribe to some research tools out there, okay, to really research about what are the prices in property. For example, you can look at square foot, you can look at Soul Real, alright, all these are EdgeProp, or even SRX, okay, all these have all the transaction prices. Then you want to study a particular development, you want to study the development surrounding it as well. And of course, if you guys are lazy, okay, you know what, why not shortcut your journey with Quadrant, okay? So you guys do not know, we focus a lot more into property, education, alright, and of course, we give you guys a shortcut, the answers, okay, directly in our entire platform itself. Okay, so that's if you're lazy, right? But of course, if you guys want to research on your own, I highly encourage you to do so because there's just so much opportunity in the market and that's you're so excited during especially a market bull run like this.
So ultimately, right, when we are talking about property purchase, it can be $1 million decision, right, or even more. So making the right choice, right, will really exponentially accelerate your wealth. But making the wrong one, my God, is a double-edged sword. It will really bring you down. So my take is this: why not put in the effort, put in the time to get yourself properly educated and understand the ins and outs of property investment before you make the move?
Yes. So in summary, should we buy now or wait? The answer today is to buy now, right? You want to ensure that you buy now and of
buy
course,
right.
yeah, and buy right. Yeah, buy now and then buy right. Okay, so that now you already know the future by prices. Alright, now it's about just grabbing these small little opportunities in the market. Okay, while everyone is maybe going for the new launch, those that are overpriced new launch especially, right? Why don't you look at the opposite direction? You start to realize that there are so many opportunities out there.
So I hope you learned something from this video. Once again, make sure you give us a thumbs up and also subscribe to our channel, okay? So once again, I'm Ivan.
And I'm Sean.
And we'll see you soon. Bye!